What's good, man? Welcome back to the channel. Yes, I know it's been a couple weeks. When I last spoke to you, I told you I had some things going on that could be life changing and could put me in a position where I didn't have to go 9 to 5 anymore. Well, the Lord had other plans for your boy. Kind of distraught about it a little bit, but I'm not gonna let it ruin my day. Not gonna let it ruin my vibe. But I have been, pushing other things as far as work. I've started my own business now outside of YouTube. I do basketball, videography, and photography now, and it is a paying job. It is not the highest paying job, so I still do need to do my 9 to 5. But the opportunity that I had to possibly be life changing to where I didn't have to leave my home and still able to make income. That's probably not going to happen, unfortunately. But enough with the sob story. Good to be back, man. The NBA season, the regular season has officially wrapped up. And man, I could not be more excited because this is going to be the craziest playoffs I think we have seen in years. This is the most excited I've been about an NBA playoff since the 2020 season came back. It was like September? Whenever they went to the bubble. I hate using that term because people always like bubble championship, Mickey Mouse championship. That's a real championship. If any other person or team would have won that championship, nobody will be giving it flack. But because it's LeBron James, it's a Mickey Mouse ring. It is what it is, though. But this is the most excited I've been since then, just because of the anticipation of the season being shut down and then returning. They were teasing it for a while, and then they finally landed on Disney World to host it, the rest of those last 8 games and then go into the playoffs and then the NBA Finals. So, obviously in 2021 you get the Bucks winning, and that one was exciting because you had Chris Paul with the potential to finally get his first ring, and Giannis shut that shit down after 2 games going down 2-0-2. Won 4 straight with the 50 burger to end it all, and then in 2022 obviously we got Golden State? No, am I missing a champion? 2024 was Boston. 2023 was Denver. Golden State was 2022. Denver 23. So yeah, just all of those years kind of just ran together. Obviously, we've had so much parity across the league from 2020. Obviously, or 2019, 2018 was the last time we had a back-to-back, obviously, with the Warriors. But then 2019, the Raptors, 2020, the Lakers, 21, Milwaukee, 22, Golden State once more. Denver got theirs last season, or the season before last, and then Boston. So we could see another champion this year, and I think y'all know exactly who I'm talking about. That is my OKC Thunder. I told y'all, history is on our side. Teams that have played this well throughout the NBA season have not lost once it got to the finals. They have not. I'm not going to say I don't do the full research, but every team that I spoke on in that last video as far as point differential, plus minus and things of that nature, they have all won championships. Every single team. Every one, bro. So when you think about the role players that we have, and like in Alex Caruso, a Cason Wallace, Aaron Wiggins, coming off the bench as obviously they come off the bench as well, but like as rookies, AJ Mitchell, Dylan Jones. We also got Brandon Carlson, I think is how you pronounce his name. Like, obviously they're not going to get a lot of burn in the playoffs, but push come to shove, knock on wood, like injuries may happen. We have guys that are geared up and ready because they've been prepared throughout the season. We have obviously Chet Holmgren and Isaiah Hartenstein locking down that paint. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander on the perimeter with the Hound Dog and Lou Dort. People are sleeping on Lou Dort's defense this season. I had a statistic somewhere that showed me how much he has just locked every single player up that he has gone against. I don't think they've averaged over 20 points. Not a single player in the NBA has averaged over 20 points this season when Lou Dort has guarded them for a majority of the game or on his possessions. This is just the perfect scenario when you consider having the MVP in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and then he has his Robin in Jalen Williams. I know a lot of people are doubting Jalen Williams' ability to show up in the playoffs and perform at a consistent level if Shai is having an off game, or if, we just need more from somebody else. People are doubting his ability. He wasn't an all-star for no reason. Obviously, we were the number one team, so we were warranted at least 2. But Jalen Williams will go out there and have 30-point games when Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is when he's not in the lineup, like we saw a week or so ago, where he had one of his best games of the season offensively because Shai was not on the floor. That goes to show if Shai is out of the game, or if Shai maybe isn't having it going, he can lead us to victories. And that's just what I've been trying to tell people for a long time now. I don't know why the doubt is so high. Obviously, this is the second youngest team to ever clinch a 1 seed in NBA history. If you don't remember, we were the youngest team to do so last year as well. I knew we were going back to back. And I know I sound like an OKC Glazer, but it is what it is, bro, because a lot of people have really fucking given us a lot of doubt, and I don't understand it. People talk shit about Shai being at the free throw line so often. Man, oh my gosh. The Lakers had a plus 97 free throw differential coming into the game. Their second meeting when they were in LA, whichever one that was. Look, like I said, I got some bad news earlier. My demeanor is a little off. I'm sorry. I don't even cuss like this on video, bro. But it's just the frustration of how we've been doubted for so long. We are literally almost dead last in free throws per game. Obviously, somebody has to get to the line for us. If Shai's not doing it, they're not giving the whistle to J-Dub. He's in year 3. He's a bigger body, so it's somewhat of, not to the fullest extent, but that LeBron and Giannis type of thing where they can absorb contact. Even like a Derrick Rose, they didn't give a whistle to a lot because they're so strong that they're able to absorb contact majority of the time. Even though it may not appear to affect their shot, it's still a foul. You have to call it. But like I said, he's still a younger player trying to establish himself. He's a one-time All-Star. He will not be All-NBA, but he is climbing that he's reaching that precipice of becoming, a star or a household name, so to speak. I just got off on a tangent, man. But this season, 68-14, the highest wins in the NBA by 4, edging out the Cavaliers, who still all in all had a great season, but this back end of the season was kind of up and down, topsy-turvy, so to speak. So going into the NBA playoffs, the Thunder are going to have the 1 seed or the home court advantage in the NBA Finals once we get there. But after a loss this year, we have an 11-1 record. We average 125 points per game, and we bust ass if we lose a game. We are beating teams by almost 16 points per game, shooting nearly 50% from the field and 37.5% from the 3. 14 losses this year is the fewest in OKC history. And when you consider how many games that we won by double digits, if you still consider those, let's say the games that we won by single digits, if you consider all of those as losses, we are still by far the number 1 seed in the Western Conference. That's how dominant this team has actually been, and people are not realizing it until we get there. 52 double-digit wins for us this season. That is the most in NBA history, surpassing the 71 and 72 Lakers. May I remind you, that is a championship team. We edged them out as well for the highest point differential of all time. We tied the 5th most wins ever. I can go down the line, bro. I have so much here. And this wasn't even supposed to be a Thunder video. This was supposed to be a let's get into the playoffs video. But y'all gonna hear me, bro. I ain't been here in a minute, so this is what it is. We will have that playoff video soon. I could do it in this video, but it's already 10 minutes in, and I'm still glazing my Thunder. Fight me. I'm just joking. Like I said, bro, my demeanor is kind of off today, bro. It was a pretty rough morning, bro. Last week, literally 5 days ago, I got this back tooth taken out of my mouth. I'm kind of in pain right now. Got the Tylenol sitting right here. So, yeah, I'm pushing through, bro. I'm pushing through. But yeah, we have so much potential to go ahead and succeed and come out as champions when it's all said and done. Obviously, we still have that Goliath of a team over there in the Boston Celtics who are at full health right now, I believe. And just when you consider the way that they cakewalked through the Eastern Conference last season and the struggle that we had once we got to the second round with the Dallas Mavericks, obviously there's no Dallas Mavericks. Well, yes, there is. We have an upgraded Dallas Mavericks team called the Los Angeles Lakers. They are actually the 3 seed. So if we end up advancing, let me go check this bracket real quick. If we end up advancing, well, when we end up advancing out the first round, we have to play the winner between the Nuggets and the Clippers. So we won't see the Lakers until the NBA or Western Conference Finals. I'm confident that we can beat the Denver Nuggets pretty easily. 6 games, I say easily, but 6 games because, Nikola Jokic is, man, don't even get me started on Jokic, bro. This guy, I don't know, like, I understand the discourse and the arguments of this is Jokic's MVP and this is Shea's MVP. Obviously, I'm in favor of my guy, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, same as last season. But when you consider how the voters and of like the media award, like the media voters who vote on MVP and things of that nature have, and like most improving thing, like they just have been messing it up for the past 4 or 5 seasons now. Giannis should have had 3 straight. I talked about that in one of my, when I first, in 2022, or 2023, when I first started doing these videos. Giannis should have had 3 straight MVPs. He had the best season that year, offensively, defensively. He put up historic numbers, and they gave it to Nikola Jokic. There has not been a 3-time MVP since Larry Bird. We've had a Michael Jordan in the league. We've had a Kobe Bryant in the league who got robbed of 2 of his MVPs. We have a LeBron James in the league who won 4 in 5 years. Is that not like fishy to y'all, bro? Like, he won 4 in 5 years. Granted, don't get me wrong. Derrick Rose was the 1 seed and coming in as a 21-year-old, and just the way that it was, and just revitalizing Chicago. You know what I'm saying? Yes, Derrick Rose deserved that MVP, but it also has to do with the fact that, 1, they didn't want LeBron to tie Michael Jordan, and 2, obviously they didn't want Michael or LeBron James to have that three-peat of MVPs like a Larry Bird. So, I'm just saying, there's a lot of other outside factors that goes into MVP voting and things like that. Obviously, guys get more money based off of like all NBA first team, all defensive, or whatever clauses they put into your contract. But Giannis, like I said, should have had a 3-peat. Jokic should have had a 3-peat, Jokic shouldn't have had a 3-peat technically, because his second one should have went to Embiid, but they gave his third one to Embiid, which should have been his second. So Jokic won in 2023, right? 3, 4. Either way, because my memory is shot right now as far as that goes. There is fluctuation amongst how they give out MVPs. I felt like, and everyone else felt like, especially the youngest team in NBA history clinching the 1 seed in the Western Conference. Shai averaging 30 points per game, Jokic a near triple-double. And they were saying that Luka even had a potential to be the MVP because of the stats he was putting up, where he averaged a 34-point triple-double, I want to say. Or, no, he did not a triple-double. He was off by like a few, 0.3 or something like that. There was a chance and a real case for Shai winning that MVP last year, but they gave it to Jokic. Now, Jokic actually averages a triple-double, had a better season than he did last year, although his team is the 4 seed and not the 2 seed like they were. They were 2 or 3. Either way, He's had a very far better season, a 60-point triple double, the most points ever in a 60-point triple double, a far better season than he had last year. And he will not win MVP because they have to give it to Shea because they messed it up so bad last year. I would be perfectly fine giving Jokic the MVP. I swear I would be perfectly fine giving Jokic the MVP this season, even though we are the most dominant team of the decade. I would be perfectly fine with that because of the individual season that he had. If they gave it to Shea last year because he deserved it. The youngest, like, if y'all gonna use narratives and all that shit, make it count when it actually matters, okay? Now I'm off of my Thunder tangent. Let's get into this play-in and playoff look that we have so far. So the 9-10 seed out west will be the Sacramento Kings taking on the Dallas Mavericks. And then 9-10 out east will be, once again, the Chicago Bulls versus the Miami Heat. And then 7-8, after a crazy, crazy game last night in overtime between the Clippers and the Warriors, where the Clippers secured their 5 seed. The Warriors are now the 7 seed. And what's so crazy is they were not... Their chances were really ruined off that Harrison Barnes three-pointer about a week ago when you consider like the Spurs were not playing for nothing at all. They're the seventh worst team in the NBA record-wise, excuse me. That is actually storybook right there. And that is why every game matters, and that's why you can't have nights where Jimmy Butler is out there taking 7, 8, 9 shots per game, putting up 12, putting up 7, putting up 9, putting up 15. Like, obviously last night in regulation he had about 28 or so. I didn't end up getting to overtime because, well, I hopped on the game. I'm not gonna lie to you, I hopped on the game. But you gotta have a consistent Jimmy Butler. Obviously, we know playoff Jimmy Butler. That's a real thing. I just did the quotations because you can't really count on that this year just because of how off his entire year has been. I think he's averaging like 17 points per game this year. The lowest in the last 4 years for sure. And it hasn't looked like Jimmy Butler of what we're accustomed to. Now, I will say the Golden State Warriors have been a much more winning team since he's gotten there. That's a fact for sure. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but there's a glaring margin between their wins and losses since he has gotten on that team and when he is on the floor. So that we can give him credit for sure. But when you consider that every game, like I said, really matters, especially in this last stretch of the season. The last month actually matters. And his performances were not up to par to put them over the top to where they secured a 6 seed at the very least. The Warriors are inevitably in the play-in once more, and we could see a team that had championship aspirations spoken out of the mouth of not only Jimmy Butler but Draymond Green as well fall before even actually reaching the playoffs. Now, I will say they play a Memphis Grizzlies team who is going in with an interim head coach. Now, this head coach is not just a random head coach. He's their assistant, just obviously placed in the position of Taylor Jenkins. And they seem to be getting the job done. Obviously, it's only been a week or two since the firing of Taylor, a couple weeks now since the firing of Taylor Jenkins. And you know, the Memphis Grizzlies and Ja Morant himself have looked a lot more cohesive, so to speak. And, you know, it's up in the air with that one, honestly, because this is the first year that they're going into the playoffs with a new voice at the helm. So I don't know. But I have a lot of confidence in Stephen Curry. I have a lot of confidence that, you know, the defense of Draymond Green and Jimmy Butler will be sufficient enough to apply pressure to Ja Morant and force other guys to have to beat them, like Desmond Bane, like Jaren Jackson Jr., who Draymond will have the main assignment on, maybe even Zach Edey. They have guys like Quentin Post, Trace Jackson Davis that they can bring in to just throw extra larger bodies out there for this game, that which they may need to do. Damn, my mouth is hurting, bro. But yeah, there's still a great chance that the Warriors can win this game just because of how efficient they have been with Jimmy Butler, and you know what possible downfall the Grizzlies could have just being baby. It's just kind of new, just new with the new coach, and it could be something else. And then 7-8 out east, the Orlando Magic versus the Atlanta Hawks. The Atlanta Hawks are so, like, you think about the play-in and you think about the Atlanta Hawks, as well as the Chicago Bulls and the Miami Heat. You think of play-in, you think of those three teams for sure. Orlando started the season off very great, very, very, very great. Obviously, Paolo went down a few weeks into the year, and that really set them back a bit, just a bit, because they were still, staying afloat. But then once Franz Wagner went down, it kind of got murky, and they were never really able to get that rhythm back throughout the season. So they fall to 7. The Atlanta Hawks never really had anybody believing that they would be a playoff team. Like I said, you think play-in, you think of those three teams. There's a chance that they could have been a 6 seed, but just with, I don't know, it's just something about the Hawks that there's not much promise there right now. Obviously, Zachary Ricochet had a very solid rookie season, and I'm very excited to see how he can progress and what he looks like in year 2. You have guys over there that got a chance to really show what they could do last night, like a Keaton Wallace who put up a 15, 11, and 15 triple-double. So there is promise in the young guys. Obviously, Trae Young is still there, and he looks like he's going to be there for a while. You hear no trade rumors regarding that, but then again, we heard nothing about the AD and Luka trade until it went down, so you never know. Maybe they look at that Keaton Wallace triple-double and like, hey, this is our new guy. But, yeah, that should be a very fun matchup, very interesting. I'm excited to see what the outcome of that is, because whoever wins that will be losing in round 1 to the Boston Celtics, no doubt in my mind. And then, obviously, the winners of 9-10 goes on to face the loser. And I have my confidence. I feel like the Chicago Bulls will beat the Miami Heat and advance to that second game, so we could see the Chicago Bulls somehow making it to the playoffs, which would be crazy because they've just been like vibing all year. Like, there's not really been too much excitement over there. Obviously, Modest has had a great season as well for a rookie. His campaign was very kind of quiet, but he still had his moments where you're like, okay, this guy could really show me something. Kobe White, obviously, breakout season, probably should have won Most Improved last year, but just built off of the foundation that he seemed to garner in that back end of the last year. Obviously, with Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan no longer a part of the team, you have availability in shot selection. You have availability in time with the ball in your hands. So a lot of that went to Kobe White. Obviously, you bring in Josh Giddey, who had a hell of a year, man. I'm very, very, very proud of Josh Giddey for bouncing back off of that terrible year that he had last year. Essentially, most of that just was off of the personal things that were going on outside of basketball. We haven't heard anything about that all season as far as any legal actions that have taken place or anything like that. Who knows if he paid her off, paid the family off. That's neither here nor there, not for me to speak on. I'm just talking about the basketball player that is Josh Giddey. Now, I will say, I don't believe he would have had this. No, I know for a fact he would not have had this kind of season if he were on the Oklahoma City Thunder, just because he has far more freedom out there in Chicago with it being a team that is in a rebuild while we are a team that is competing for a championship. His style of play fit our team for sure, but there was just no room for a guy like Josh Giddey, honestly. Obviously, on the defensive side, he's a huge liability. We saw that in the playoffs. And then just with Shea being such a ball-dominant player, it works for J-Dub because J-Dub can get the ball 3 dribbles between the legs, step back, and hit his own shot. He's a shot creator. So that works for J-Dub. He doesn't need the ball to set up offense. That's not his role. He is a guy that is supposed to score the basketball and give you great defense. He will play make here and there. I think he's averaging 5.5 assists this season. And another thing about J-Dub, I don't mean to switch from Josh Giddey, but J-Dub, if you go and look, like I said, people have been doubting him. If you go and look at his year to year to year, obviously year 3 that he's in now, progression, across the board, he's gotten better in every statistical category, whether it's scoring, assisting, rebounding, steals, blocks, shooting percentage, free throw percentage, three-point percentage. Everything has gone up for Jalen Williams, and that's why I have so much confidence going into the playoffs, riding on the backs of what he can bring to us or for us. But switching back to Josh Giddey, when you consider that Chicago did not have a point guard that they were fully comfortable with because of Lonzo Ball coming back from that crazy surgery where he had to get someone else's knee placed into his own so he could be able to compete again. Shout out to Lonzo, man, for sure. He had a great season for what it's worth, honestly. Like, I've been a Lonzo Ball fan since he was at UCLA, bro. Like, a lot of people hated on the Ball brothers and LeVar, but that's just a proud black dad, bro, putting on for his children and giving them some kind of fire to, go out there and be the best that they can be. You want to show your kids that, you can be the greatest if you actually put your mind to it. Obviously, injuries have riddled their family. Shout out to LeVar, too, for the amputation and still out here thugging, man. That's honestly commendable as hell. Like I said, showing that you can be the greatest in any regard. LaMelo should have been All NBA. Would have not All NBA. Should have been an All-Star maybe if he didn't have so many injuries. The team honestly got depleted with injury. Not depleted, but their main 2 guys went down, and then Trey Mann as well, who was a big acquisition for them. Shout out my Thunder. Just that whole tandem of that family, they had a lot riding on them. I don't know. Oh, yeah, right. That's how I got there. Shout out Lonzo. Shout out LaMelo. Shout out the whole Ball family, bro. I might swerve in that corner. Whoa. It's like, oh, man. Josh Giddey. Shout out to Josh Giddey, man. They had a great year. And I think that, just that the Chicago Bulls could we could be seeing them as an AFC. Now, honestly, they will not advance past the first round. The Cleveland Cavaliers are no joke. This we know for sure. But this could be a very interesting playoffs, man. You got the Thunder, the Cavs, obviously holding it down 1-2, or 1-1, and then you got the 2 seeds and the Houston Rockets and the Boston Celtics. Obviously, the Boston Celtics are the more favored of that matchup or of that 2 tandem. Just because of, reigning NBA champions. They have the pedigree. Obviously, we've seen them do it, and they've been dominant all year. They just haven't been the best team out east. Then the Houston Rockets, man, obviously went 50, had a 50% victory margin last year, win-loss margin, 41-41, and just missed out on the playoffs. I want to say they even were number 10. I can't even really remember, but no, yeah, they did. They missed out on the play-in. Now, then majority of that, not majority, but at a point throughout the season, I want to say they were actually the 2 seed. Like, I don't remember what happened last year to where they kind of fell off, but the Rockets were hooping last year too, and we kind of saw this. Maybe I'm mistaken, but we kind of did see this like coming into the year, that not that they would be a 2 seed, because obviously you had the Phoenix Suns, the Minnesota Timberwolves, the Denver Nuggets, the Los Angeles Lakers before the Luka trade. There wasn't much optimism around them, but then once that trade happens, it's like obviously like they secured the 3 seed. This is the highest that the Lakers have been in the NBA playoffs since LeBron James has arrived in the team. Aside from the championship year. So man, I'm very excited. I'm very, very, very excited. The New York Knicks are the other 3 seed out east. They had a very steady season, so to speak, with, even with Jalen Brunson and Cat, being in and out of the lineup here and there. The New York Knicks still performed very well. Obviously, being the 3 seed with the season that the Cavs and obviously the reigning champions, the Boston Celtics, have had, that's like a 1 seed for them. If we want to be honest, like that's the best that they literally could do is the 3 seed, regardless of the win loss, like how many the difference is between them and the Celtics. That is actually a great season for the New York Knicks, and that's like there's no other place that they should have been having acquired Karl Anthony Towns and Mikal Bridges over the offseason. So that's perfect for them. And then we have the Indiana Pacers and the Denver Nuggets being the 4 seeds. Obviously, we know who the Denver Nuggets are and what they bring. 2 years ago, they won a championship and fired their coach just with 3 games left on the NBA season for whatever reason. And we could talk about that a little later, too. This is a team that I don't want to say it's been up and down, really, because they've been kind of steady amongst that 2 to 7 seed majority of the year. So, I mean, I guess that's up and down, but when you consider how close the West actually has been, like we just had 2 15-game slates in the last 3 days. Like I've never seen that in my life. Like that was absolutely epic. Like the most random players could have great game. Like a Pat Connaughton putting up 41, or like I said, Keaton Wallace having his triple double, Brandon Carlson having a 26-point double double. Like there's like just guys come out and hoop on the last day of the year and the last couple of days of the year because team like the Boston Celtics sat the entire team. The OKC Thunder sat the entire team. So they had to have guys out there that went out there and hoop. So, I mean, the Denver Nuggets are a team that didn't have that luxury just because it was so close for them. Oh, damn, I just kicked it. It was so close for the Denver Nuggets that they could have been in the play-in if they did not win their last game or two. So, securing that 4 seed for them is huge, like really, really huge, and especially getting the matchup that they got against the Clippers. I feel like they can game plan around that. I mean, you do have James Harden, who is a maestro when it comes to playmaking, but we know his playoff failures that we have seen, or not failures, but just over the past 3 to 4 seasons, we have not seen the same James Harden when it comes to postseason. After he left Houston, it's really just been downhill going to Brooklyn. Obviously, the hamstring injury kind of prevented him from being at his full potential. But then you got Philly. That was a very bad postseason for him, and they get knocked out in the first round. So we're hoping to see a more consistent James Harden. He has looked very great over the last, I don't even know how long. Last night, he put the team on his back and was able to will them to that victory in overtime. I think he had 38 points. Like, just an absolute beast, man. And now we're seeing an unleashed Kawhi Leonard, man. Like, this is actually, like, this is one of the scariest teams going into the playoffs for sure. My demeanor is very off right now as my mouth hurts so bad, but I'm not done talking. This is one of the scariest teams that we are seeing going into the postseason, and the matchup against the Denver Nuggets is, like I said, it could go either way. You have a guy, Nikola Jokic, who just is so dominant and can control every aspect of the game on the offensive side of the ball, and a Jamal Murray that is a playoff riser for sure. We just need the guys like Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon, even Russell Westbrook, Christian Brown, those role-playing guys to, up their level of play as well to be able to take down and Los Angeles Clippers, who have James Harden, like I said, who is absolutely marvelous. And then we know who Kawhi Leonard can be in the playoffs, and he's looked very good, very, very, very good over the last month or so. So that one could go either way. And then the Bucks will be the other 5 seed out there. Obviously, Damian Lillard went down, but Giannis put the team on his back. Damn near averaged a triple-double. I actually have a stat on that. Give me 1 second. I actually have the stat on that. They were 8-3 when Giannis went down, when Dame went down. Giannis averaging 31.1 points per game, 10.3 rebounds, and 8.5 assists per game. And they were 8-3 at the time that I took that screenshot. I think they won their game last night, so let's say 9-3 or 8-4. Regardless, Giannis has showed us that he is ready for the playoffs and he is ready to lead his team on another potential playoff path. Excuse me. And if we do get a Damian Lillard returning, that could be very scary for them. Obviously, this is the team that knocked them off last year. So, no Chris Middleton, but you got Kyle Kuzma, who had a great game last game. But the Indiana Pacers are looking really, really good, man. I like what I'm seeing from them. I like how they were able to secure that 4 seed over a team like the Milwaukee Bucks, who were, for the majority of the season, but the majority of the early season not competing how they should, which is why they are at the 5 seed where they didn't want to be. This team could easily be a 3 seed, even a 1 seed if everything went perfectly. But that one, I like the 4 or 5 matchups on both sides of the league. And then 6 seeds, we got Timberwolves and the Detroit Pistons. Obviously, the Timberwolves are another team that fired, or excuse me, not the Timberwolves. I meant the Grizzlies. I was about to say they fired their coach. They are another team that had a roster change at the beginning of the year. One that it was massive, but it's just three to 4 players in the deal. But you ship out a guy in Karl-Anthony Towns who had a lot of chemistry amongst the team, obviously being the number 1 option over there for majority of his career. Not majority of his career, but 1 to 2 option majority of his career. And you bring in a guy like a Julius Randle who feels like he's a number 1 option, but is really like a 3rd option, 2 option on a great night. So it's like there was a lot of questions about how that fit will work, especially with a Rudy Gobert who does not stretch the floor whatsoever. And, just Julius Randle's style of play, back to the basket, bully ball, bruiser in the paint. Obviously, he loves to get his jump shots off too, but and then, you got Anthony Edwards who had to alter his game to start shooting 10 threes a game. Like, that is ridiculous. He led the league in three-point makes just by 1. He beat out Malik Beasley, which is also crazy. We'll get to him on that Detroit Pistons side, who nearly led the league in three-pointers made off of the bench. 310 was his final number. Anthony Edwards needed 7 in that last game to pass him, and he got 7. So Ant-Man led the league over Malik Beasley and over the greatest shooter of all time, Stephen Curry, who finished 3rd. But yeah, they're riding a hot hand right now, especially like I said with Anthony Edwards have been performing the way he has. Rudy Gobert has looked really good defensively, anchoring a top 5 defense the last 9 to 10 years. Top 5 or top 10, I can't remember, but he has been very, very, very good defensively. Obviously, a 4-time Defensive Player of the Year. This is just a team that, when you consider the matchup against the Lakers, I did just kind of glaze Rudy's defense, but he's not probably going to be able to, he has to go against Luka, bro. We've seen how Luka has dogged Rudy Gobert over the years, so this is going to be tough for them. Obviously, they don't have the greatest available options, the Lakers, to guard a guy like Anthony Edwards. I mean, you can stick Vando on him. Obviously, LeBron will get some time on him, maybe not, just because of the age difference. You don't want Bron on him running around all game. But, I mean, if you can contain pretty much everyone else, then this shouldn't be too much of a problem for the Lakers to advance. Now, obviously, they're the smaller team, so there is chances where they could just get beat up on the glass. And, this honestly could go either way. I'm not going to lie to you. This could go. There's only a couple series that are, no-brainers. That'll be the 1 and 2 seeds going on against their teams. Except for the Rockets, there's a chance they could get eliminated, but I do have optimism. Now, switching over to the 6th seed out East, the Detroit Pistons. This is honestly the most, Cinderella storybook type of season that you could have hoped for when you consider they lost 28 straight games last year. They tripled their win totals from last season and secured a definite secured playoff spot at the 6th seed. Cade Cunningham, monster. They lost Jaden Ivey back. I can't even remember. Really, really nasty injury. And they have still been able to perform the way they have because when I mentioned earlier, the guy I mentioned earlier, Malik Beasley, being able to shoot the ball the way that he has, Tobias Harris coming in and being a veteran for his team and just being consistent for them offensively, just trying to get his groove back, coming back to to his hometown, getting that big old bag, one of the highest paid players to have never been an all-star or to, never, was he an all-star in Orlando? I can't even remember, bro. But one of the most lucrative players to have never really been on superstar level. You know what I'm saying? But great season for them all in all, man. Especially when you consider the fact that this is a brand new head coach in JB Bickerstaff, essentially just bringing his Cleveland Cavaliers playbook down to or up to Detroit and telling them young boys go out there and work. Isaiah Stewart, as much as we love to hate him, you gotta hate to love him because his ferociousness and his tenacity on the floor is undeniable. It really does give a lot of people problems, so to speak, like second guessing whether or not you wanna, really take that match on. I don't appreciate at all the scuffle that went on between him and DiVincenzo a few weeks ago. That was ridiculous. When you see the camera angle from the fans' point of view, from their cell phone, the man went down and tried to choke Nas Reed. Like this is basically over with, and he's trying to continue by choking this man out. So Dante had to push him up out of there. But it's like some of the stuff is the mentality that they're trying to impose on the league, trying to bring back that bad boy Piston type of vibe. And for the most part, I mean, it's worked for them for the majority of the season, man. And they got to where they got just off of being a cohesive unit. There's obviously a superstar there in Cade Cunningham who is going to, be the number one. And you look to Cade when it's all said and done. But just as a unit, like I said, losing a guy like a Jaden Ivey who had a hell of a year before he went down, and being able to come together and bounce back and have the season that they had to fulfill not only their hopes but their dreams of making the playoffs this season. You gotta tip your caps to them, man. And this is going to be a hell of a playoffs, man. The play-in starts tomorrow. We have the 7:30 we got the Hawks taking on the Magic, and then at 10 we have the Grizzlies taking on the Warriors, and then the following day obviously the Heat and Bulls and then the Mavericks and the Kings. So it's gonna be a hell of a postseason, man. I'm about to get out of here though. My mouth is on fire. I have not talked this much since I got my tooth out. So yeah, if you tuned in, I appreciate you. Obviously, I apologize. My demeanor has dropped, but my mouth hurts, bro. Pause. But yeah, subscribe to the channel, man. We got playoff coverage coming to y'all all postseason. Trust me, even though I said I was going to be more locked in because of the job that I was going to get, forget about that, bro. We locking in because this is what I love to do, bro. And eventually, this is going to be something that is not set in my room. I'm going to be working with people that are already established, like at an ESPN or at a Bleacher Report, wherever that may be. As y'all know, I'm a avid enjoy basketball fan, and I really eventually would love the chance to work with the network. Just being inspired so much by Kenny, before I even watched what it used to be Through the Wire, just his takes on basketball, and just, I don't want to discredit him, but how easy it really is to just be a basketball fan and love the game and have a passion for it and just be able to talk. Like, I've talked for 45 minutes with a tooth that got taken out 5 days ago. It's because I love the game. If you look around my room, there's a basketball court here in my closet. There's one on the door. You see a basketball right over here, right over there. There are numerous basketballs lined up here. There's a basketball court hanging right above me. There are two right here on this wall. I love the game of basketball, and I really enjoy the game of basketball. So, um, with all that being said, like I said, being inspired by Kenny and then learning about Pierre and Mike and Derek through the podcast of Through the Wire, and now transitioning over to Numbers on the Board and how they've been able to build out the Enjoy brand, it's very admirable. It's something that I'm very inspired by, and that's literally why I'm here, is because of those guys, man. Like, I can't give them enough credit for the success that I have had. Not obviously y'all don't see it because I have 174 subscribers. I get about 100 views per video, 1 to 200, whatever it may be. But the success that I have had off camera, just because of the passion that I do have for the game, a lot of that was, and I've had this passion for a long time. Don't get me wrong. For as long as I can remember, I've been an avid fan of basketball. LeBron James obviously is my favorite player. Both of us being from Ohio, it was just easy to gravitate towards LeBron. So, I mean, and the games were always on TV because, well, he played in Cleveland. I live in Columbus, so the games were always on. We got to see a lot of LeBron growing up, so it just became a fan and just fell in love with the game from there. And then when you consider guys like a Kobe Bryant who just gave their all to the game and no matter what was loyal to not only himself, and I'm not throwing shade on nobody, but not only himself, but the franchise. Those are admirable things, and what instilled this passion and love for the game that I have, those two players. And then Kevin Durant, my second favorite player of all time, which led me to my love for the OKC Thunder, along with the Russell Westbrook. And then we get James Harden. 3 MVPs in 3 years is crazy. But just the love for the game that those memories and moments have made for me led me to where I am now, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. I just wish that, I was able to do more than I am doing, and trust me when I say we will get there. But yeah, to wrap it up, man, just shout out to the guys over at Enjoy, Numbers on the Board, Kenny, Pierre, Mike, Derek. It might sound crazy, bro, but I definitely have a special place for y'all in my heart, bro, just because of the inspiration that y'all bring, the laughs, the intellect, especially like a guy like Pierre, who is obviously Kenny is in tune with the game for sure. Kenny is one of the best at what he does. There's I can't think of too many players that did too many creators, I can't think of any creators that never played in the NBA that are better at their job than Kenny Beecham. But when you consider the fact or the way that Pierre is able to break down the game from a just a different point of view with his old school, my fault, Unc. I'm 26, so you're not really Unc, but just the way that he has that older mindset of the game and appreciation of the simplicity of the game, I really do enjoy listening to both of them. Obviously, Mike and Derek have their own, things that they bring to the table. Derek is actually very, very intelligent when it comes to the game, and he brings, a different aspect of how basketball could be viewed. Kind of his outlandish takes. He sometimes hits the mark, bro. He's not the Brooklyn Nets not being one of the worst teams, or not whatever. He took the Brooklyn Nets to win over 18 games this year, and they were like, "You're crazy." A lot of stuff he says, they give him that flack for, but I understand it in a moment. But then it's damn, he was right. And then Mike, man, he loves the game. He loves the Lakers, but it's a lot of Lakers. And, he does, don't get me wrong, my boy Mike is nice. When it comes to, the analytics and things like that of breaking down the game. And Money on the Floor. Money on the Floor is one of the toughest little albums, if you want to call it that. Anyway, I'm going off on a tangent. I appreciate every one of y'all, bro. Shout out Enjoy Basketball, who I just talked about for about 5 minutes. If y'all don't see this, I will be sending it to y'all one day when y'all, when we eventually meet. But enough glazing for today. Don't kill me in the comments. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is, bro. It's been a while since I've been in front of the camera, and I just, that kind of cheered me up. Just remembering the inspiration that I got this from. So, yeah, man, I appreciate every one of y'all though. 50-minute video shouldn't have been. Surprised that it was, but either way, I'm out of here. I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.